All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite Dark Sorcerer here. And today I'm going to do a video called Put Up or Shut Up. And what's ironic is I've been saying this a lot lately, and I realize, where I've heard that term before, and it's like, shit, you know, because of the fact that it was actually spoken of by both John Cena and Roman Reigns from WWE, and it's like, crap. I wonder if that's considered plagiarism because I'm using their words and didn't realize it. It's like, fuck. All right. So, anyways, and I do apologize for the wobbly laptop. I'm currently in my chair. Um, my basically is this chair was given to me by a friend of mine and relative. So I can't keep it at my place because of the fact that the cats will scratch it up, and it is such a nice chair. They don't make chairs like this anymore. Okay. So, where to begin? Step up or step down? Over the last few days, I have been answering questions. I have been doing a lot of contemplation, and I'm continuing with the nightly scrying that I've been doing lately. And some of the questions are based off baneful sorcery. Others are based off how do I do this or that within sorcery? What's going on with this full out war on Ed Morrow? Why is it suddenly everybody's just said, fuck it, it's time to get rid of this guy? So, and speaking of apprentices, oop, in a sec here. All right, there we go. That was one of my apprentices that I have taken on from one of the witchcraft groups. She's been wanting to learn cartomancy and better ways and means of doing so. And I've been now teaching her for roughly about a month now, give or take. I think it's been a little bit longer than a month. But she's been doing her own work. She's been really stepping up. She's been literally step up or step down, and she's been stepping up. She's like one of some of my other apprentices that have really stepped up and started proving their shit. Okay, and it's ironic that even this confirmation right there, it's just done. All right, right in your face. Yep, it's there. Uh, so, anyways, you either step up or you step down. And like I just said, my apprentices have really been stepping up. All right. And it's interesting because of the fact that it's not just the apprentices stepping up, it's also the community. I've been seeing a lot more individuals within the occult community stepping up and putting forth their own studies, their own research, and this is awesome. I'm proud of you guys. I am very much proud of you guys. You've been stepping up. You're showing your references. You're showing your resources. You're showing your own your research. You're putting your work and your rites and your rituals up in people's faces. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Step up or step down. Put up or shut up. Okay. And it's interesting because, hey, Holly Rowan, good afternoon to you too. So it's really, you're seeing this across the board, okay, and just about every group. You still have those, well, let's just say the dead leg, crawlers that are still coming into the groups, and instead of stepping up and doing your own homework, doing your own research, they're literally just asking questions and then not following up. Okay? They're not stepping up and going, "Okay, I've asked the question. I've received a lot of comments back." And this is true. A lot of these individuals have literally received a lot of people coming in, most of which are, how should I say this? It's more or less the jokesters, I guess you'd call it. They just comment. You still see this, but you also see the individuals who are experienced stepping in and going, "This is what I recommend. This is what you need to do." Okay? This is a good thing. This means that you're seeing people stepping up to the plate and they're putting their feet where their mouth is. Okay? That foot and mouth disease, if you wish to call it that. Okay? They're not just proving what they're saying, they're actually talking the talk and walking the walk. Both are going hand in hand. That is a very, very good thing. So these individuals that put the comments forth, many of them you don't hear from again. Many of them, and I'm going to say this again, many of them, you don't hear anything else on that topic. They just go on to another one without following through. So you need to put up or shut up in this point. Okay? You can't keep asking questions and not learn. Okay? You cannot learn. These are the do's and don'ts of occultism. I am reminded of a story put forth by Anton LaVey. I can't remember if it was in his The Devil Speaks or The Devil's Notebook. It was in one of them. It was in one of his essays. And he spoke upon a kid, that dreamed of becoming a lion tamer. He wanted it so bad he could taste it. But all he did was study. All he did was study. Until one night he decides to get into a den full of lions. He didn't get the experience. They found what was left of him the night after, or the morning after. At least that was the story that Anton put forth. Now, if we take this analogy, you have so many people not only doing the research and putting the work forth, showing both actions and deeds, but these few are still causing issues in the community. The same old propaganda that has already been disproven, been proven lies, been proven fallacies. They don't want to learn, they don't want to grow. And now supposedly they're bringing in their so-called apprentices. Okay. And it becomes a civil war over actual facts, history, mythology, and folklore. Okay. Not just personalized experience. So I did a post a little bit ago before I went in and showered. And it was basically, people are tired of the drama. People are tired of these asshats coming in and just causing trouble because they can, to make themselves look good. And I even used Ed Morrow and his apprentice, so-called apprentice, Lucy Fur, as an example. You claim all this shit, which has been disproven, proven to be fallacies, proven to be lies, and yet here we are a year later, and you're still putting that same shit forth. Nothing new, nothing to back it up. Even though they claim, okay, I have seen this proof, I have this proof, yada yada yada, then step up or step down. Put up or shut up. Plain and simple. It may sound a little mean, it may sound like hate speech, but guess what? Sometimes those of you with kids know that eventually you're going to have to use tough love. Tough love. And the reason for that is because eventually they're going to have to learn on their own. They're going to have to learn to do their own research. They're going to have to learn to back up what they preach, not just make themselves available to the public. And it's interesting to see because I even went into a little bit of a history lesson here. You consider there's been twice within the last 200 years where we've seen women's movements. Once back in the 18th century, and finally around the what was it 1960s and 70s area. Okay, you have the civil rights of freedom of speech. Okay, free speech, which has been imposed on for the last 40 to 50 years. Okay, and this is stuff that is claims to be legal now, but yet people are still putting limitations on what you're able to speak on and how you're willing to speak on it. Because nowadays you also have other areas like slander or defamation of character that goes into these things. You have racism going on in this. You have a lot of different things. I did a video about a month or so ago, and there was an individual that came out and basically told me I can't practice because I'm white. I'm white. Okay, bringing in racism, bringing in the creed and the class and the overall color of one's skin. If people had noticed, say for an example, in Wudan, Loa, the Loa have really been branching out. I mean, you got Hispanics practicing voodoo, you have whites practicing voodoo, you have um, blacks, African Americans, the African culture practicing their heritage. And you've got all these people, but yet you're claiming blacks only. This is right back into the 60s. Okay. This is the 60s and 70s all over again. Okay. This goes all the way back to the civil rights movement. This goes all the way back to the Civil War of America. Okay. This is shit that should have been over years ago. This is shit that should have been taken care of years ago, but yet everybody is rubbing it in your face every fucking day. Welcome to humanity, where they stay the same. Okay? He is. Holly. Holly Rowan just commented here, and she said, Ed Morrow is a fraud, in my opinion. And she's not wrong. If you go underneath any of his sites, either on, what is it, Lincoln, Larkin, LN, I think it is, or NL. I don't know what it is. It's a site I've never even heard of until a friend of mine brought it to my attention. And you go underneath Timber, you go underneath Instagram, you go underneath Facebook. All he's doing is posting the same fucking photo. Nothing new. You go underneath, for an example, my Timber page, okay? And you see different rituals being put forth, different setups, different altar designs, everything. Not just the types of rituals that I'm performing. And it's interesting because it's not just here. It's not just Ed Morrow that's been doing this. I mean, I've seen a few others too that just keep posting the same photos over and over again. I get a lot of. First of all, before I say this, I get a lot of respect for Espen Cayenne. Okay, I do. I get a lot of respect for Espen Cayenne. But I've noticed on his Facebook account, every time he posts on new rites and rituals being put forth, new how should I say this? New public rites that can be performed for a price. You look down and you got the same photo underneath. The same. It's like, why don't you come up with a new photo every time? You know, you can't use the same photo every time. You got to go with a variety. Okay. It's like when you approach a spirit, my personal experience with Zaniel, the teacher of witchcraft, when I first got into witchcraft, took me a very long time for him to even come to me. And this is why. He wanted to see what I was willing to do. Okay. How and what was I willing to do to learn his secrets, to learn what he had to offer. Okay. Now, Espen Cayenne is one hell of a knowledgeable person. Okay. Not just one hell of a practitioner, at least in my opinion. I have a few of his books. There's a couple of books that I really want to get of his, but I got to, I had to put them aside for a while before I have a chance to order them. One of which is his complete works, his complete writings. I really want to get that. Now, the books that I do have of him deals with the Nephilim, deals with the jinn, and deals with the Middle Eastern philosophies. And I actually went to him one day, and we had a good sized conversation on this, and I was asking some questions from the Middle Eastern perspective on this, and it's like I'm trying to wrap my head around how do you associate all this within your book, because some of which he didn't go into full detail on, but I caught the gist of it, and I wanted to see where he got this information from, and he ended up giving me some sources to look into. And I mean, this blew up into a one hell of a big, fucking, how should I say this? Research. And it was exciting. I mean, I have to say it was exciting. It took me about a week and a half to 3 weeks worth of intense research into Nephilims, into the half breeds and the jinn and how they associated with magic. And it was like, God damn! I mean, it took me into the Mishra, the Talmud. It took me into the Jewish Haggadah and the books of Enoch and a lot of these old grimoires that I've had for years. And it's like, God damn! It just blows your mind when you get a practitioner that has so much knowledge. Now, so I'm not hating on S. Ben Cayenne. I'm not. I'm not hating on him. In fact, I got a lot of respect for this man. And even though I don't know what the hell's going on with Balg at the moment, I've seen the post and I've watched EA Quedding's videos and stuff like that on the matter. But all I know is that some people had a massive argument or something, and they just went done. You know. So so when we think about step up or step down, put up or shut up, you really got to take into account what you're willing to do for your magic. What are you willing to do for your sorcery? And how do you want your brand to be seen? Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, Ed Morrow and Lucy Fur is one and the same. Okay? Lucy Fur claims to be from Australia, but yet in the same context thinks that I'm from Australia. So it's like, what the fuck? You know? And it's funny, if I showed you half the freaking photos that have been put up by Ed Morrow and Lucy Fur just over the last week alone, okay, you'd be laughing your ass off. So Lucy Rowan is not wrong. He is a fraud, and he's a fake. All he is all talk. My brother Brian Snelling, who lives down in Louisiana, he had a client one day, and this goes right up here with put up or shut up. Is and it goes with step up or step down. This customer, it was a lady, went to Ed Morrow and paid a lot of money for a right. He is. He really is a good man. He's got a lot of wisdom. Brian Snelling has a lot of wisdom. I got a lot of respect for him. And what's interesting is, this lady. She went to Ed Morrow and she petitioned and she paid a lot of money for this right. Ed Morrow threw a bunch of random shit in a shoebox and shipped it off to her. In a shoebox. And this is a guy that claims to be a practitioner of voodoo. Dominican Republic voodoo. Not Haitian voodoo from Haiti. No. I'm talking Dominican Republic version. Okay? So, anybody who's ever studied voodoo, who has practiced voodoo, knows that you don't just put a book out on voodoo. You actually have to go to your elders, to the High Council, and petition. I'm writing a book. This is what I want to write on. What can I reveal? Okay. And that council will just tell you what you can reveal and what you cannot. It is the same thing with Bondi. Okay. Bondi. Bondi is considered to be the supreme god. Okay. Much like Yahweh or Allah, Yazad, Jehovah, stuff like that. So Ed put out a book. He didn't even bother going to the council to get permission. Violation number one. Number two, if Bundy doesn't want you to do something, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay? That is the belief structure in voodoo. Okay? Now, what's interesting is anybody who practices black magic, sorcery of any kind, knows that you have to protect the items that you are shipping. Okay? Even if you are keeping it in your own personal altar room, it needs to be protected. This means a black cloth is laid over your dark totems, your altar, so that the natural light or daylight cannot touch it. Okay? In this case, we're talking a shoebox full of random shit that was shipped off to this woman. Now, to be fair, I don't know this woman. I do not have her name either. All I know is that I've seen the photos of what came in that package, how it was addressed and put together, and how she received it. Okay? There was no black cloth. These items were not individually wrapped. Okay? They were put in a shoebox and just closed together with string. Okay? String. That was it. Anybody who studied voodoo knows that if you're going to do a death rite or you're going to do some form of ritual, you're going to be utilizing a coffin. Okay? Let's say a death rite. A coffin is constructed of wood. Okay? Of wood. Why is it Baron Samedi's seal has two coffins? Think about that for just a moment. Why does he have two coffins? Three, if you count it. Because you have the sarcophagus at the bottom that has the giant cross in the center. Two coffins one coffin on either side. Okay? Right there, you have a coffin on either side, and you have the sarcophagus with a giant cross on it. Why do you suppose that is? I want you to think about that. Because death, he is the Loa of death, the Rada of death. He is the impairment and the embodiment of death. Top hat, cigar smoking, a black man with a painted face to make him look like a skeleton. That's the image that comes across with Baron Samedi. So if you're doing a death rite of any kind, either to petition, to summon, to work with your ancestors, whatever, you have to go through him. But to get to him, you got to go through Papalegba, which is a very temperamental spirit, by the way, just in himself, just to have him open the gateway to Baron Samedi's world. Baron Samedi is a very powerful spirit. He teaches you how to do curses and hexes through a lot of different rites that I'm not going to get into here, namely because I have not sought permission to do so. But here's the kicker. Okay, here is the kicker. When you create a coffin, you build that coffin, you line it like you would an actual coffin. You see, this is considered to be an effigy. You take a voodoo doll, for an example. It doesn't matter what kind, the clay, the paper, the actual yarn base with the cotton inside. You can even do corn husks. Okay, put them together to make a voodoo doll. But you got to have that link. You got to have that link to your target. Okay, you got to have that link. Lock of hair, sperm, vaginal blood, whatever. Maybe saliva, skin samples, whatever. Or even just a photo of that individual. And you put it in there. You consecrate it for that and charge it for that particular rite. And you place it in that coffin. You bury that coffin after anointing it with the necessary oils, oleums, and stuff. And you bury it in a freshly marked grave. You see, this is how you do a curse in voodoo. But Ed Morrow sent it in his shoebox. Sent it to this lady in a shoebox. No lining, no protection, no silk or anything covering it, the items, just right through the mail. What was it that Holly just posted a little bit ago? He is a fraud, in my opinion. Plain and simple. Step up or step down. I don't know about you, but every time I've gone to an occultist, a fellow occultist, for an example, I went to my elder and we were talking about grimoires. And he recommended a necromantic grimoire to me. When I found it, I ordered it and I bought it. It was $107. Okay, $107 for a grimoire, and I just put down $200 on one of the upcoming grimoires. Can't wait to get my hands on that one. But this one grimoire, like I said, I ordered it after finding it, and after about 2 weeks, I was in the middle of the Black Fast, and I was doing this during a necromantic rite for an entire month. So I ended up getting this in the mail and I took it out of the package. It was wrapped in black silk and a black cloth, similar to that of, say, for example, a handkerchief material. But it was compared to, say, your average satin. Okay, it was wrapped fully in this. Number one, you could feel the power radiating from this one tome right through this lining. Second of all, it was wrapped in a spider fashion, almost like a spider web effect of twine. Twine, not rope, not, yarn, which was the case with the box that Ed Morrow sent to this client. He literally, this tome was literally wrapped in this tome. You could feel the power, and it took me forever, what seemed like forever, just to get through that freaking twine. It was tightly woven. It was tightly, what do they call that? I'm trying to think of the word here, right off my mind. It wasn't just tightly woven, but the knots were tight. Okay, and I had a hell of a time getting those knots out. I think it took me probably about 45 minutes to an hour just to get through that twine. And as soon as I opened up this tome, I got to this tome and I opened it up, I mean, you could feel the amount of power in it. You could feel the vibrations coming from it. It was fully charged, fully blessed, and fully consecrated tome. Okay? This client didn't experience anything to that magnitude. Not once. By that one rite. That one box full of random crap that Ed Morrow sent. So, how do you know what's fact and what's fiction? First of all, put up or shut up. Okay? Comes into play here. When somebody puts up, they're going to be backing up their shit with numerous different sources. I'm talking backing it up with hardcore facts. For an example, let's say, for an example, you're doing a lecture just on, let's go with let's go with a more modern day Satan variation. Okay, let's go with Satan, since so many people on occultism today want to talk about Satan. There are very few tomes that actually speak of Satan and his true purpose and form. Number one is the poetical text. The poetical text. Number two, we see this in the Mishra, the Jewish Haggadah. We're seeing this in the Munich manuscripts. And I can go into others. Right there, what did I just do? I just gave you hardcore, old-fashioned scrolls and texts to delve into. Plain and simple. This means I just put up. I backed up what I just preached. Second of all, step up or step down. Every time that somebody has come at me, I have put their own words forth. I have put my own words forth. And most importantly, I have backed up everything I've preached. This is how you know when somebody is true. You look at, say, for an example, VK Chahanam. Let's go with Aseneth Mason and Bill Duvendak. You go into let's go with I'm just thinking of a few people here. Let's go with Clint Beckham or Betcham, for an example. He didn't just back up what he preached. They don't just back up what they preach. They literally put forth the sources and the material. They show you what they're doing. They literally put the time in. Okay? They put the time in. This means they're stepping up to the plate. They're not just studying and practicing, but they're proving their results. They're proving themselves as being leaders in the occult community. They've earned their stripes. They've earned their way in life. If you look, for an example, at the 9 noble virtues, this is something that pagans and Wiccans go by. And I actually like this because I actually follow it. The last one is called truth. Truth. I preach truth even though it is a hard truth. I speak truth or remain silent. I put forth truth even when others do not. Okay? Basically, meaning you put forth the truth even though others do not uphold the truth. Okay? You're literally bringing the sources together and proving them wrong. This is stepping up to the plate. One of the other ones that is in there that I like is the fact that you work so that you are not an how should I say this? What term should I use here? Because I'm trying to choose my words carefully here because of the fact that I don't want to take it out of context. Basically, you don't want to be a burden to society. So you go out, you get a job, you become a man, you get a job, you provide for your family, you do what is necessary to earn your own way in life. Okay? Meaning you don't rely on others to do your bidding for you. If people wish to step up, that's awesome. Kudos to them. But it does not mean you put them up to it. You see, Ed claims a lot of fucking false propaganda. I don't need people to fight for me. I can defend myself through my own words. Just like these others can. Everything has been proven a lie. Everything has been proven fallacy. Everything has been proven that he's nothing more than trying to make himself look good. For an example, I had actually shown Ed's words, his text, everything that has been given to me to a few psychologists. And I said, what is your professional opinion on just what you've seen here? And they came back with 2 things. Number 1, sociopathic tendencies, meaning lack of empathy. And number 2, narcissistic tendencies. Basically, overall meaning is Mr. Ed Morrow has to surround himself with strong-willed people to make himself look good. He can't step up to the plate. He can't put up. So he has to slander people. He has to create drama because he can't go out and do it himself. This is why he hides behind memes. This is why he does the things he does every so often. And what's interesting is after one post that I did in Alfredo Martinez's group, Dark Sorcery, that had nothing to do with Ed Morrow. In fact, his name was never even brought up in that post. It was based off my own personal rituals that I've been doing lately, things that I've been contemplating on and meditating on. His so-called student decided to jump under here and start bashing me. But yet the words are matching Ed Morrow's hand in hand, just hand in hand. And when this person was called out, started referring to Ed Morrow himself as being I am not that entity. When did you decide that you're now a god? When did you decide that now you're an entity, a spirit? Last time I checked, you were just a man, a practitioner. Okay? A practitioner. Anyone in the occult community will tell you that you're not a demon. You're not the Loa. You're not your ancestors. You're a practitioner of the arts. You can ascend, you can descend, you can learn how to evolve into becoming a god. Even the JCI doctrines speak to this. Why do you think Genesis chapter 3, verse 5 speaks of the tree of life and what happens? Why was Jehovah so afraid that if Adam and Eve ate of that tree, that they would become as gods, knowing the difference between good and evil, to learn the actual knowledge and become wise? Even if you go to verse 22 in chapter 3, it clearly says that, and the Lord God said, "Here is man who has become like one of us," meaning other gods. And yet the JCI claim, oh, he's the only one. So now you're an entity, according to this Lucifer. I am not him and he is not me. I am not that entity. Exact words. But yet, Aaron Sippy's comment underneath my post, that was screenshot, ended up on Lucifer's page, and ironically being promoted underneath a protection right. A protection right being done by Ed Morrow himself. Do you see what I'm talking about here? You have your frauds, your fakes, and you have your real practitioners. Those who evolve, those who learn, those who don't and stay stagnant. Step up or step down. Put up or shut the fuck up. Plain and simple. The communities are tired of your bullshit. They're tired of hearing about your drama. They're tired of seeing your fucking drama. And just yesterday alone, yesterday morning, I think it was like 4:30, 5 o'clock, I woke up to go use the restroom. And I was checking my messages and I found another woman. Okay. A woman. And I'm going to bring that up right here. Okay. I'm going to bring this up on my YouTube channel on underneath my cell phone since I'm on my laptop. And and Clint is messaging me too, so I'll get to him in a few minutes. So let's see. Where's it? Oh, wrong one. There it is. Okay. Nicola Bell. Okay. stated, "Yeah, well, all you Ed Morrow haters thought, though you would like to know, not thought you would like to know, but thought, as though, okay? Though, Though. Did you forget the T? Did you forget the T? Or was that just a typo? Okay. I know for a fact that every so often I go to type and auto spell check kicks on and goes, "This is what I think you meant," and switches the word. So I do understand that aspect. Okay. So would like to know he's only with me for security and money. Security and money. Okay. And then later that day, about 23 hours, this post here was actually one day ago. Okay. So about 23 hours ago, she types back, "I was hacked." You see the duality and the hypocrisy here of what I'm speaking on. First, she claims he's only with me for security and money. You see, I don't know. As a man, I don't know which is worse for you, Ed. The fact that you are a fraud and a fake and everybody knows it, or the fact that you're hiding behind a woman. Hell, even the question has come up with your latest Facebook profiles, wondering if you are actually a woman in a man's body. Because we all know that's been done before. So, but that's the interesting thing here. Lucy Fur's words and reactions are the exact same arguments that you do on your own page. The exact same. Word for word. But in this case, it's dealing with a third party. Could be MPD, multiple personality disorder. Just saying. I've been trained in psychology, okay? But I'm by no means an expert in psychiatric aspects. As an ordained minister, I had to be trained in this stuff. Okay? So, this is part of your training as a minister, especially when you're ministering to people. Number 1, sociopathic tendencies. Number 2, narcissistic tendencies. And now, possible MPD is involved. Hmm. But even then, there's really not enough personalities to even confirm that. So, that last part. So far, we have Lucy Fur and now this Nicola woman. And it's ironic because this particular post, and I'm going to bring that up one more time. I'm going to bring that up one more time because I want to tell you the exact name of the video that it was posted under. Reply to Ed Morrow, Part 2. Okay? That was back to back on that one. Okay? And the only other one was this Neotech Global Holdings. I have no freaking clue who the hell that is. What? No comments? This video deserves better. That's awesome. I have to say that is awesome. Uh Never would have seen. Very few people actually have that understanding. And it's interesting because of the fact that we see this in today's community. I will get to that person in just a few minutes as well. Okay. Something tells me today is going to be a busy day answering questions and a whole bunch of things. But I'm currently house sitting at my mother's house, so just relaxing in my chair, like I said, and decided I'm going to reply to some of this stuff. So, everybody's done with Ed Morrow. His drama has reached into other organizations and other communities, and we've all decided we're done. And I really got to. Oh, didn't mean to take a photo there. That's funny. Yeah, I'm a real Teswick here. Seriously. Trying to turn down the volume and took a photo instead. Oops. Another fallacy on Ed's part. Just saying. So yeah. So my point is, if you're gonna preach on something, and this is something that I covered with in a video with a fellow occultist on baneful sorcery, and at the end, I was asked, "What recommendation? What would you give information wise to those coming into the occult?" I gave two things like I always do. Always back up what you preach with multiple different sources. And second of all, always make yourself available to the public. Now, you'll notice that every time Ed has attacked me, it has been me posting about him. He claims that I have other people fighting for me. Where are they? Every time I've done 2 videos in a year on Ed Morrow. On Ed Morrow, I've done 2 live videos. This makes 3. Okay. This makes the 3rd video on Ed Morrow. Do you see anybody else in these videos with me? No. You see people commenting, giving their opinion of Ed Morrow. I didn't put them up to it. That was their own free will because they know who you are and what you're about. When I make myself available to the public, you're looking at what I do. This is what I do. So there is no mistaking me from anyone else. This is my brand. It is your own words that have defeated you time and time again. Your actions and false claims, that is what is defeating you on every front. And now you've pissed off so many people that the communities are literally striking back now. Your Facebook has been taken out. Timber, the Larkin or Lincoln or whatever the hell you call that freaking site, and Instagram. Every social media site that you're on is now being targeted, Ed. And that's not even including the legal system. The legal system is also being used to strike back at you for defamation of character, for slander, for perjury, for cyberbullying, harassment, stalking. These are all federal crimes, Ed, which take place over state lines. In fact, it goes across the world. And what's interesting is I would hate to be you. I would hate to be you, Ed. And this is why. You're in Europe. You're in England. Okay? Exactly, Holly. You've only got yourself to blame on this because you're in England, which means when the legal system strikes in England, where you are, number one, with the amount of proof and evidence that has been put forth by your actions, that's an automatic 1 year in prison and anywhere between $2,000 to $6,000 fine on you. Ouch. That's gonna suck. But people are tired of dealing with you. They're tired of putting up with your bullshit. And you only have yourself to blame for that. Hell, even I'm tired of taking your abuse. I sat back for about 6 to 8 months before I did that one video last year. Your lies just kept getting worse and worse and worse. This year, you're doing the exact same thing. Anybody who says no to you, everyone that says prove it, anyone who basically disagrees with you or you don't like, you sit there and you refer to them as a pedo. You call them names. You hound them on social medias. You stalk them on social medias. The voodoo community wants nothing to do with you. They blackballed you. Even the occult community is tired of you. About 85 to 95% of them wants nothing to do with you. You don't live by a creed. You don't live by an oath. You're just in, well, a bad rash. You're nothing more than a hemorrhoid that can easily be removed. But nobody has done this until now. Everybody wants you gone, Ed. Everybody. You asked for this war. Again, you brought it on yourself. You brought it on yourself. You were given a chance for peace. And you spit in the face of Clint Beckham, who came to you in goodwill. And then you blocked him after declaring war. And even I said, war it is, but you're not ready for what's coming to the table. And now you have women fighting your battles for you. Women, you're hiding behind skirts. You're not being a man. You've been called out across the board. And you've taken no responsibility for your own actions. And now you're being forced to. So there it is then. Step up or step down. Plain and simple. Step up or step down. Put up or shut the fuck up. So with that said, if you're gonna preach on something, back it up. There used to be honor in the communities. In the old days, it would have been one warrior to another. Not an army, not a legion, just one on one. The duels. European old fashioned duels, either with a one shooter or swords, daggers, even. Even before that, it was hand to hand. Now the lines are being crossed, they're being drawn in the sand. And that's all it is. The lines have now been drawn. You have no supporters by the Loa or any other spirit. The demons want your heads. Baron Samedi wants your head. Santa Morte wants your head. And now the community wants your head. Sucks to be you, Ed. The difference is everything I have on you, I've sent to the actual practitioner who is planning to come at you through the legal system. So guess what? And I've shared everything with everybody who's come to me. Everybody. In fact, I've even placed it on my Facebook profile. But hey, at least I stepped up and I put up. Where's your cojones? Have a good day.